Aloha and welcome to the Kupuna Connections television show again this week. This week we have a wonderful program on edutourism. My name is Cullen Hayashida. I'm with the Kupuna Education Center at Kapi'olani Community College. As I mentioned, the topic is edutourism, but before we get started, I wanted to make certain that we have our guests introduced. So first of all, let me have my co-hosts. Tony, introduce yourself first.
My name's Tony Hathaway, and I'm a social worker by profession and the education coordinator at the Kupuna Education Center.
Andrew, why don't you go?
I am Andrew Lockwood. I am president of Pacific Islands Institute, a local travel company and meeting planner, specialized in educational travel.
And I'm Karen Lockwood, also with Pacific Islands Institute, and I've been with the company about 10 years now.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us today. We have had this program, Kupuna Connections, for quite some time now, and we've got a whole variety of topics, basically of interest to seniors and active retirees. And our topic today with you folks is edutourism, lifelong learning through travel. And basically what we are all very much familiar with is the fact that seniors love to travel, and they're going all over the place. Vegas, for example, nowadays cruises, which is of course not something that their parents had done. But this whole issue of edutourism, educational travel, what is this all about, and why is it that seniors, older adults, love to do this?
Educational travel, the way we define it, different people will have different definitions, is travel with a purpose. Travel to do more than just take the photo, have a Mai Tai, and get a sunburn, is the way I like to describe it. It involves typically more interaction with the local population, and
you're learning about something. So whether it's culture or the land, the destination you're visiting, you're actually going to learn something about that area.
Yeah, okay.
a little more purposeful travel.
Okay. What sort of person is interested in educational travel?
I'd say there's a few main markets in educational travel. The obvious one that I think people typically think of are high school and college students, but the other major market is people that are more flexible in their time, older. They've probably experienced other kinds of travel and are now looking for travel with greater meaning, and an opportunity to make connections and keep their minds active.
Yeah.
I think anyone with a curious mind, basically. If you're going someplace and you want to ask questions, then this is the type of travel for you.
Mm-hmm. That's a nice way to put it, a curious mind. Yeah.
Oftentimes we hear people love to go to Vegas as a kind of a common experience for many of our older adults. And some of them have been to Vegas so many times they know all the cross streets and,
all the dealers
and everything, right? But I'm sure that after a while it becomes old hat for them, something that they can go beyond in terms of learning.
Right.
And so your experience is different in that respect.
Yeah, I would say, frankly, we love Vegas as well, and when we go there, it's not an educational experience, but it's fun. But it's routine, it's comfortable, it's not really, it doesn't involve any stretching of yourself. And educational travel, you go there, you will sometimes put yourself in positions that are less comfortable than what you're familiar with, and it stretches you, and it improves you. It leaves you changed and for the better.
Oh. Let me ask you, what sorts of activities, what sorts of programs or places are visitors, going to? Can you fill us in on some of that?
Sure. Educational travel exists throughout the world. The main organizations that are pursuing educational travel include Rhodes Scholar, and we definitely need to highlight them prominently as they're the largest educational travel organization in the world. They are a client of ours. They're our largest client. They offer programs in over 100 different countries, all 50 states, all provinces of Canada. And really, you can be doing anything from
hiking,
trekking up a mountain, to walking through the Louvre in Paris with an art historian, to
attending Mardi Gras.
to going through Papua New Guinea with us, for example, and you know, talking to people that have only within a generation or two even been known to the modern world.
Now, we have some photos that we brought along that you shared with us, and perhaps we can share those with our viewers as well, perhaps, so we can see some of this. Can you explain what we're seeing now?
Certainly.
So this first one here?
This is a cruise ship. It's a luxury cruise ship called the Paul Gauguin, and it is moored in Tahiti. This is actually the island of Moorea, and it's a wonderful program. Basically, you're going to learn culture. There's marine studies.
They go over to the Cook Islands on some of their itineraries,
Right.
and we run Rhodes Scholar programs on that cruise ship.
Okay. How about this one here? What are we seeing?
This is in the Cook Islands.
Okay.
And as you can see, this particular photo, you can see that there's a variety of people with different activity levels. There's, I think, someone with a cane there, and with a
Well, yeah, I can see
wheelchair.
I can see a woman sitting on her walker that has a chair on it.
Right.
Yeah,
So you
great.
can go the distance, go international, and not expect to be walking the whole time.
I see.
Is basically what this photo is showing.
Okay. And then here?
This is in a village in Fiji. We're participating in the greeting and in the show where the villagers are doing their traditional spear dance. I always find it a little bit interesting that the Fijian spear dance has little pom-poms on it, but you know, we're actually getting out into the community. This is not a tourist event that they're experiencing.
I see, I
wow.
see. Now, does this bring up some issues with regards to what they eat? I mean, are they eating Fijian food or just
Yes, that's
roast beef
interesting.
and potatoes or something?
Well, of course, we live in Hawaii, so we believe very much in trying different food and in education through food. That doesn't mean that the clients always receive it super well, but we make sure that they try things everywhere. And in Fiji, for example, everybody does try kava while they're in Fiji from a communal bowl typically, which is also in itself a little bit uncomfortable for them. But it's part of the stretching process.
That's right. Okay, here's another.
Oh, this is just our group in Fiji again, and this particular group was on a snorkeling program. So a little more active. You know, you need to be able to get into the water from a boat, these kinds of things. But with our Rhodes Scholar programs, there's activity levels that are noted for every program. So from easy to challenging. And you can decide whether or not this program will work for you and your activity level. And in this particular case, it's a snorkeling program, more challenging.
Right, and this here is actually, we're back on Maui, and it's a group enjoying, I believe it's Kapi'olani Heritage Park over in EL. Here's a group, obviously on the USS Missouri, the Mighty Mo. We have a service program that we run on the Mighty Mo. So one type of program that we offer, this is again through Rhodes Scholar, is a volunteer where people come together, and they, in this case, they stay for a week. They work every day on the ship, and they learn through working. They get access to parts of the ship they don't normally get. They even have the opportunity to spend the night one night.
Can I just mention that that particular program was featured in the Wall Street Journal as one of the best of 2012's volunteer trips
Oh,
in the
that's
world.
definitely.
Yeah,
In the
it's
world.
kind of a new idea. I mean, but you've been hearing more about those volunteer kinds
Yes.
of programs, and a lot more people seem to be interested in doing that kind of vacation.
We also offer one that's a service archaeological field survey on Rapa Nui, Easter Island, through
Sounds
Rhodes
cool.
Scholar again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here, I guess this is Rapa Nui.
Oh, yes.
There they are on Rapa Nui, right. Climbing the quarry up to Ranawaraku, where the large moai were made. Certainly our regular programs spend anywhere from 5 to 7 days on Rapa Nui, unlike standard tourism that says be there, see it, take the photo, you know, been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and spend only maybe 3 days. Our programs spend longer, including the service program, which spends up to 12 days, including days for general touring, not
I see.
just
Okay.
work.
So this is another view of that same island, huh?
It is, and that's actually a local boy / Rapa Nui man talking to them named Sergio Rapu, who splits his time between Rapa Nui and Hawaii.
And Hawaii.
Oh, and Hawaii. Okay.
This is an example of one of our intergenerational programs with Rhodes Scholar. So what its mission in this particular type of programming is to get grandparents and grandchildren together, traveling together, learning together, and bonding. And so this is one of those experiences.
In a backyard luau.
Backyard.
So again, not a big commercial luau, but a more intimate kind of thing, like we Kama'aina experience.
Okay.
And here we have one of our volunteers back at the USS Missouri working on, I believe it's the captain's gig, a boat that needed a lot of repair, and that's now mounted up on the ship.
I see. Okay. Well, that's all very helpful. It gives us a better sense with regards to what the types of programs that edutourism is all about, with Rhodes Scholars.
Well,
Yeah.
you folks have mentioned that you work quite a bit with Rhodes Scholars.
Yes.
What would you say is really unique about the Rhodes Scholar program?
Well, Rhodes Scholar was founded in 1975. It's a nonprofit organization headquartered in Boston whose mission is to provide lifelong learning education to older adults who are interested in doing more than just sitting around in retirement. And you certainly don't have to be retired to go on Rhodes Scholar. You can actually be an adult of any age. Rhodes Scholar, because their target market has been people that are nearing retirement or retired, has always been very focused on providing an excellent value. So I would say you get a very rich educational experience without requiring any prerequisites. You don't get credit, I should make that clear.
Yeah.
There are no prerequisites. You don't have to know about the area before you travel there. And so you leave really enriched mentally, spiritually, socially engaged because you're in a group experience, and so it's really a wonderful way to travel.
There's also the expertise of the people that are guiding you. These are experts in their fields. They're not necessarily your regular tour guide, people who have actually worked their whole lives in this field. So for instance, when we go to the Big Island and we're visiting the volcano, we have a volcanologist come along with the group to talk to the group and to interpret and answer questions. So you're going to get scientists, professors, experts of all kinds as your guide. So that's really what's outstanding. In addition to the value aspect that Andrew mentioned, there is meals included, your accommodations are taken care of, your entrance fees, bus transportation, all of that is all part of that package, and it's escorted. So there's always somebody there with you.
I see.
And airfare can be included as well from your home to the place and back.
So you're really getting a kind of top-notch educational experience with your vacation at a pretty reasonable price
Correct.
for what you're getting.
Exactly. It's a great value for what you're getting.
So how big are these groups that you're talking about for travel? I mean, and so you're talking group travel, and there's some benefits, to group travel. So,
Right.
And the size of these groups?
It really varies. Our own program, Pacific Islands Institute, that we run for Rhodes Scholar, for example, can be as small as 10. Sometimes even smaller, but we're not shooting for that. And as large as up to 40 on a cruise ship, on a large cruise ship. So it really depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to be on a cycling trip, for example, you're not going to have 40 people. If you're going snorkeling, you're not going to have 40 people. If you're going to Fiji, where the logistics, including air and accommodations on the ground, are more limited, we're going to have at most 18. Actually, our Fiji snorkel right now is at most 13 people. Maximum 13.
Wow.
And Rhodes Scholar across all countries will range like that.
There are times, though, that the group size may be larger for bigger events. So if you're going to a film festival and that film festival is only occurring over a course of 4 or 5 days, then there may be a larger group, but there'll be more escorts, and you'll be
In clusters.
exactly.
They'll be broken up
exactly.
into subgroups. in effect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Well, what if you're a little less active and a little hesitant about going on a vacation like this, or maybe you're by yourself? How would that work?
So I would say it depends, again, on who you go through. Road Scholar has activity levels ranging from 1 to 6, as Karen mentioned.
Right.
It's easy
Which
to
is,
challenge
you can sort on the website, or you can see in the catalog, they
Mm-hmm.
have clear icons that indicate activity level, and you can use those to help decide what might be most appropriate for you.
Oh, wow, that's great.
If you need further information, again, if you're comfortable with the website, there's a lot of information there that helps you refine it even further, or you can call
Yes,
customer
call.
service and ask them.
Okay. Okay.
So would it be better for people to call or check your website, or to check this Road Scholars website?
If they're interested in a Road Scholar program, they should definitely contact Road Scholar, and I would suggest people start there, which is roadscholar.org. R-O-A-D, I should
It's a play on
clarify,
words.
not to be confused with the Rhodes Scholar.
right.
R-O-A-D Scholar, like traveling and learning.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be the best way, because they can actually take your registration as well and answer questions all across the spectrum, whereas we are specialized in Hawaii and the South Pacific and really can't speak for the other parts of the world.
Okay.
And what if you're by yourself? Would you feel comfortable going on a Road Scholar trip?
Yes, definitely. There are, Road Scholar is built so that if you would like to travel by yourself, you have a choice. There are two options. You can either travel in your own, having your own accommodations, or you can be paired with a traveler with the same gender. And so you can request that, and actually, if you are traveling, if you ask to be matched with another traveler, there's a lower cost than if you
Sure.
were to travel by yourself and have your own accommodations.
And in most cases, if Road Scholar is not able to find a match for you, because say that there may be 5 single women traveling and they only match 4 up
4
into
of them.
doubles, then you do not have to pay a single supplement to be in that extra room. Whereas most other organizations, if you're alone in a room, no matter what, you pay the full price for that room, which is a lot more
Interesting.
expensive. And I would answer that even a little further by saying that because Road Scholar is targeted at people that are nearing retirement or retired, it's not at all uncommon to have single travelers. It's very common.
Yes.
It's very comfortable for people. I'd say traveling in a group is really the best way to do it there, because you instantly have people that are a social network for you, and
Sure.
based on the trip that they've chosen, and even based on the organization they've chosen to travel through, you already have a lot in common with
Common
them
interests.
as soon as you arrive.
We could even, I can say, out of a group of 20, for instance, maybe 5 or 6 are going to be single travelers.
Oh, so it's very common.
It's
then.
very
Very
common,
common.
yes.
Yeah. So are there other types of travel experiences that the Road Scholar gets involved with? I don't,
Yeah.
types of travel or that sort of thing?
Road Scholar is basically broken down into 3 different categories. So I think Andrew had mentioned before that they travel all throughout North America, Canada, all of U.S. There's international travel, and then we've got a float, which is considered all the cruise ships. So that can be anything from our Pride of America here locally to river barges in Europe. So those are the float programs. Then things can be broken down even into interest level. So you can have, like Andrew mentioned, biking and all those, golf, photography. You can look things up and find travel specific to those interests. And then even beyond that, going to service or volunteers or so the variety of things that you can do while traveling is incredible.
And maybe you want to go intergenerational, where it's you and a grandchild, or possibly family, where you've got the adult generation as
Multiple
well.
generations.
And Road Scholar does have the ability for groups to register together, and in essence, they can either be part of a group that has other people as well, or they can do what's called a charter program, where they go to Elder Hostel or Road Scholar, and they say, I really like this program. Can I take it for my 20 or 30 or 40 people in my association or church or high school class or whatever?
And that's organized for you?
And
Yes.
everything's organized for them, and it's just an exclusive for them.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful.
I just want to, you mentioned Elder Hostel. So I want to just clarify that Road Scholars' previous name or former name is known as Elder Hostel. So if you are familiar with Elder Hostel, Road Scholar is the same organization by another name.
Well, that sort of leads into our next question, which is, folks from the mainland seem to be very familiar with Elder Hostel / Rhodes Scholar programs. Folks here locally seem to be less familiar with it. How can they, become more educated about it, know about it, get more involved, and be able to participate in the programs?
My suggestion would be that you go to www.rhodescholar.org. And you can either call them or you can online fill out a request for catalogs. They have the U.S. and Canada is one catalog, international is a catalog, and a float is a catalog, anything on shipboard. And you can get all three, or you can choose the one you like. And of course, you can also follow along on the website if you wish. But otherwise, they'll mail you the catalogs, which make for great reading. They're sizable catalogs. There's a lot of choices. So.
Well, now that you mentioned that, you're showing them to us just before the program, and just so folks know they are, a large size and lots of pages, so you get a lot of information if you ask for those catalogs.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
This would be wonderful for our local, senior population to know about it. Another resource for them to travel, because I think they love to travel, but I think their choices, based upon their limited experiences, is limited. And this would open up a whole new world, I think, for them.
And our data suggests that there's about 1,000 people in Hawaii right now that do participate in Rhodes Scholar programs.
Oh,
which is a small fraction.
It's still small,
But they're traveling generally out. So to places, Europe, Africa, India. It just depends where.
And we get some on our South Pacific programs, of course, because Hawaii people are curious about our neighbors, our cousins.
Right.
And I would go also to mention on the transatlantic cruises, they have some amazing speakers that come on sometimes, like people that have been with MI6 and written spy novels, or just other really kind of significant figures, so that are part of your program and exclusive to your program. The other people on the ship are not getting that.
Oh, I see.
So.
If people have more questions about these programs, where can they get their questions answered?
The best thing would be to go to rhodescholar.org or to call the 800 number, which unfortunately I don't have handy right here, but is available on rhodescholar.org.
Or they can call us, and then we can give you the 800 number.
Right.
And your number is?
732-1999. If you're on Oahu, no need 808. Otherwise, 732-1999.
Okay, 732-1999. Okay, that's
What is your company's name again?
It's Pacific Islands Institute Limited, technically. We have an educational name to reflect our focus, but we are a travel agency, tour operator, meeting planner.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I think that's about all the time that we have. So we have just room for one more question. And and there's so much information that you've been sharing with all of us, the viewers. So if you had to leave just one tip for our viewers, what would that be?
My tip would be to give it a try.
Give it a try.
You may find that you love it, and once you do, you'll be hooked.
You'll be looking for that next trip.
And Karen, what would you suggest?
I agree with Andrew. Just go. You grab a friend, and if no one wants to go with you, go by yourself.
Okay.
We look forward to going on Rhodes Scholar and such
Is that
when
right?
our time comes.
Okay. Okay. That's great. Okay, so that's about all the time that we have right now. So thank you all for watching this wonderful program with Karen and Andrew Lockwood about the Rhodes Scholar program. And I hope that you can join us again next week on Kupuna Connections Television. Aloha.